Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Nitin Joshi, Professor in Neurology with teaching experience of 25 years working as consultant neurosurgeon in Panvel. Today we'll see the topic metabolic acidosis. The blood pH of the normal person is 7.38 to 7.42 with average of 7.4. Maintenance of normal blood pH is crucial for survival of the person. This is because in order to take various biochemical reactions which are essential for survival of the person, the reactions take place at optimum temperature and pH, and thus the maintenance of normal pH in the body is essential for the survival of the person. This pH of the extracellular fluid is given indirectly by Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. According to this equation, pH is equal to pK plus log of bicarbonate divided by carbon dioxide, where pK is a pH constant, where the buffer shows the maximum buffering capacity and the buffer substance 50% is in ionized form and 50% is in unionized form. The pH of the blood is maintained by three regulatory mechanisms. One, that is buffer system, second, that is respiratory function, and third, that is kidney function. The buffer system comes in action immediately within a fraction of a second so as to prevent the drastic change in the pH. The most important buffer in our body is bicarbonate buffer, and the pK of the bicarbonate buffer is 6.1. So the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation becomes pH is equal to 6.1 plus log of bicarbonate divided by carbon dioxide. The two components of the bicarbonate buffer are bicarbonate ion and carbon dioxide. These two components are maintained constant by two different systems, that is, the bicarbonate ion in blood is maintained by kidney, while the concentration of the CO2, that is PCO2, is maintained in the blood constant by respiratory system, and these two systems are working continuously and synergistically. The ratio of acids to base is constant, and that is 1:20. That is 1 part of acid and 20 parts of bicarbonate. That is, acid is carbonic acid, where the CO2 which is present in the plasma reacts with the water to form carbonic acid. This ratio is maintained constant, so when there is change in the ratio, there will be change in the pH. We have seen that the normal blood pH is 7.4. When the pH of the blood decreases than normal, that is 7.4, it is acidosis. But acidosis can be metabolic acidosis or respiratory acidosis. Now, when the acidosis is associated with fall in the bicarbonate level in the plasma, then it is metabolic acidosis. Whenever there is acid-base imbalance, in the respiratory system comes in action immediately, that is within 1 to 3 minutes. First is the buffer and then the respiratory system. So the respiratory system is important for the adjustment of the blood pH in the rapid action. So the respiratory system controls this blood pH by increasing or decreasing the rate of respiration. The respiratory system is more useful in case of metabolic conditions. So in metabolic acidosis, the respiratory system controls blood pH by increasing the rate and depth of respiration, causing increased carbon dioxide washout. This is because in the metabolic acidosis, there is increased H plus ion. This increased H plus ion will stimulate medullary respiratory center, causing increased rate and depth of respiration, which will be seen as acidotic breathing clinically. This results into increased carbon dioxide washout. So there will be decreased PCO2. So carbon dioxide reacting with water to form carbonic acid is decreased, thus maintaining or trying to maintain normal H plus ion concentration. The third mechanism is the kidney mechanism. Though the most important regulatory system in the control of blood pH is the kidney. Though it is important, though it is powerful, it comes slowly. That is, it comes in action after few hours, and to for complete compensation it may take a day or even more, even 5 days. The mode of regulation of the acid base balance by kidney is by three mechanisms, and that is: one, secretion of H plus ion by renal tubules; second, reabsorption of filtered bicarbonate by the renal tubules; and third, that is regeneration of new bicarbonate ion, particularly in the distal part of the nephron. The kidney is responsible for even compensation in metabolic acidosis provided it is non-renal causes. But the main compensation in the metabolic acidosis is by respiratory system. Now whenever there is release of the acid, that is the H plus ion is donated by the acid, then the first which comes in action is the buffer, so as to prevent a drastic change in the pH. So in the initial stage there will be uncompensated acidosis. That is, if you see the pH has decreased than normal, that is 7.4. Also, because the H plus ions are titrated by bicarbonate ion, which is most powerful buffer, there will be a fall in the bicarbonate level on ABG. Also, increased H plus ions will result into the stimulation of medullary respiratory center, causing carbon dioxide washout. So PCO2 will also start falling. However, though the individual components, that is bicarbonate, has changed, as well as the carbon dioxide concentration had changed, still the ratio has altered. Ratio has not remained constant, and so there will be change in the pH. It is an uncompensated. This is because the uncompensated means the ratio of acids to base is altered. Ratio which was 1:20 has altered because H plus ion has increased as compared to bicarbonate. So the individual carbonic acid as well as carbon dioxide are altered, as well as the ratio of acids to base, which is normally 1:20, has also altered. While after some time, when it is a compensated, then on ABG pH may be normal, that is ratio of carbonic acid is to bicarbonate, which is normally 1:20, is maintained constant, but the individual component shows altered amount, that is the PCO2 as well as carbon dioxide has altered, but the ratio has remained constant, and so it is a compensated metabolic acidosis. The main compensation in the metabolic acidosis is by respiratory system, and that is by increasing the rate and depth of respiration, causing carbon dioxide washout, causing fall in PCO2. So on ABG one expects fall in PCO2 value. The range of PCO2 which is expected to be normal is calculated by formula. The expected range of PCO2 is equal to 1.5 into observed value of bicarbonate on ABG in one bracket plus 8 plus or minus 2. Whenever the observed PCO2 value is altered as compared to the upper limit of the range as well as lower limit of the range, then in addition to metabolic acidosis, there is either respiratory acidosis or respiratory alkalosis. So in case of the metabolic acidosis, there may be respiratory acidosis or respiratory alkalosis. That is, if the observed PCO2 value is lower than the lower limit of the range, that is, there is more carbon dioxide washout, then in addition to metabolic acidosis, there is associated respiratory alkalosis. On the other hand, if the observed PCO2 value on ABG is more than the upper limit of expected value, that is more carbon dioxide retention, then there is respiratory acidosis in addition to the metabolic acidosis. So it is mixed acid base disorder. For example, if the person is having metabolic acidosis and observed bicarbonate value is 12, then in that case the range of PCO2 value, which is normal, is given by the 1.5 into observed bicarbonate value, that is 12 in one bracket, plus 8 plus or minus 2, that becomes 24 to 28. If the PCO2 value which is observed on ABG is less than 24, in that case there is more carbon dioxide washed out than expected, and so there is respiratory alkalosis in addition to metabolic acidosis. While if the PCO2 value which is observed on ABG is more than 28, then there is more retention as compared to expected. So retention of the carbon dioxide, so it is respiratory acidosis with the metabolic acidosis. Now when the metabolic acidosis is clinically diagnosed, it can be either the high anion gap metabolic acidosis or non-anion gap or normal anion gap metabolic acidosis, where the anion gap is given by a formula, the sum of commonly measured cations, that is sodium plus potassium, minus sum of commonly measured anions, that is chloride plus bicarbonate, and the normal anion gap is 11 to 16 milliequivalents per liter. Now metabolic acidosis with high anion gap. Metabolic acidosis, by definition, there is decreased bicarbonate level, that is decreased anion, and when it is high anion means the sum value of chloride and bicarbonate has also decreased. That is, whenever this bicarbonate level in the plasma is decreased, there is simultaneous no increase in the chloride ion, but there is accumulation of certain non-chloride anions like sulfate, phosphate, urate, lactate, acetoacetate or beta-hydroxybutyrate. While non-anion gap metabolic acidosis means, by definition, metabolic acidosis means decreased bicarbonate level in plasma, and non-anion means the anion gap remains constant. That is, in spite of fall in the bicarbonate level, the sum value of chloride and bicarbonate remains constant, indicating that whenever there is fall in the bicarbonate level in plasma, simultaneously there is equal rise in the chloride. So there is always hyperchloremic metabolic acidosis. Now the causes of high anion gap metabolic acidosis are: 1. Renal insufficiency, which is seen in case of obstructive uropathy, bilateral obstructive uropathy, where there will be retention of the anions like urate, sulfate, phosphate. Second, that is ketoacidosis because of uncontrolled diabetes mellitus or prolonged starvation ketoacidosis or massive alcoholic bout. Third, that is the lactic acidosis, which is seen in case of severe hypoperfusion causing severe tissue hypoxia, causing anaerobic metabolism, where the glucose, instead of getting converted into pyruvic acid, gets converted into lactic acid due to anaerobic metabolism. And this severe hypoperfusion is seen in case of severe hemorrhagic shock, hypovolemic shock, septic shock, cardiac arrest or strenuous exercise. While non-anion gap metabolic acidosis is seen in case of the use of intestine in the urinary tract, that is ureterosigmoidostomy, ileal conduit, jejunal conduit, colonic conduit, use of intestine in various pouches, use of intestine in augmentation cystoplasty. Second, that is renal tubular acidosis, then primary mineralocorticoid deficiency, certain drugs like magnesium sulfate, cholestyramine, and the loss of bicarbonate from intestine, which is seen in case of pancreatic fistula, pancreatic drainage, biliary fistula, biliary drainage, or small bowel fistula or small bowel drainage. In case of chronic metabolic acidosis, in case of non-renal causes, even kidney tries to compensate, and it tries to compensate by excretion of more acidic urine. The net acid excretion takes place because of secretion of H plus ion by the distal part of the nephron. This is because the distal part of the nephron is responsible for secretion of H plus ions by intercalated cell type A, which is simultaneously coupled with the regeneration of new bicarbonate ion. However, these H plus ions which are secreted by the distal part of the nephron should be buffered properly so as to maintain the pH of tubular fluid above 4.5. This is because the secretion of H plus ion by the intercalated cell in the distal part of the nephron is gradient limited. That is, if the pH of tubular fluid reaches 4.5, there is no further secretion of H plus ion by the tubular cells. And so, the H plus ion secreted by the intercalated cells in the tubular lumen should be buffered properly so as to maintain the pH of the tubular fluid above 4.5. Normally, these secreted H plus ions are buffered by the titrable acidity, which is mainly contributed by phosphate buffer and ammonia buffer. However, the buffering capacity of the distal nephron by the phosphate buffer is limited, and so in severe acidotic condition, the major role is played by the ammonia buffer. This normal ammonia excretion in physiological condition is about 30 to 60 milliequivalents per day. However, in case of severe metabolic acidosis, in non-renal condition, the rate of excretion of ammonia can increase 5 to 10 fold more. That is, ammonia excretion can increase from 30 to even 300 milliequivalents per day. This increased excretion of ammonia in urine means increased renal ammonia genesis. But more than 60% of normal renal ammonia genesis takes place from the glutamine. Thus, this increased ammonia excretion also affects the glutamine metabolism. The increased ammonia genesis and increased ammonia excretion in short means there is increased uptake and utilization of, that is, catabolism of the glutamine by the renal tubular cells. But in spite of increased uptake and catabolism of glutamine in the renal tubular cells, the glutamine level of plasma remains constant. This is because in severe acidotic condition, the proteolysis, that is breakdown of proteins into free amino acid, is particularly stimulated in the proteins of skeletal muscle. Normally, these amino acids which are carried to the liver are used for the synthesis of albumin. But in severe acidosis, instead of these amino acids being utilized for the albumin synthesis, they are utilized for synthesis of glutamine. Thus, in spite of increased uptake and catabolism of glutamine in the renal tubular cells, the glutamine level of plasma remains constant. However, in this compensation, there is more and more breakdown of proteins of the skeletal muscle, causing decreased muscle mass, decreased muscle strength, negative nitrogen balance. And so if the chronic acidosis is properly corrected, then this breakdown of proteins from the skeletal muscle will be prevented, and thus maintaining the skeletal muscle mass strength as well as correcting the negative nitrogen balance. Also, in chronic acidotic condition, the H plus ion of the acid is many times buffered by the fixed bases or buffers of the bone mineral salt, namely the calcium phosphate and calcium bicarbonate. Due to use of calcium phosphate and calcium bicarbonate, bone mineral salt form as a buffer. This results into demineralization and decalcification of bone, causing osteomalacia, and the osteomalacia will result into bone pain. So if this chronic acidosis is properly corrected, then you prevent the demineralization, decalcification, osteomalacia, and hence bone pain. Compensation in the metabolic acidosis is mainly by the respiratory system, that is increase in rate and depth of respiration causing carbon dioxide washout, clinically seen as acidotic breathing. Second, in non-renal cases, there is increased ammonia genesis with ammonia excretion, and there is shift of oxygen dissociation curve to the right. So, there will be more and more unloading of oxyhemoglobin to oxygen at tissue level, thereby causing more and more delivery of oxygen to the tissues and preventing hypoxia. Clinically, in case of metabolic acidosis, what we see is acidotic breathing, that is rate and depth of respiration has increased. There may be dehydration, increased pulse rate. In case of severe hemorrhagic shock, there will be hypotension, otherwise there is raised BP. Also, there will be sometimes disorientation. In chronic acidosis, there may be bone pain, then there will be muscle wasting, and severe acidosis can kill the patient. The investigation, the main aim is to find out what is the acid-base imbalance. That is, we have to find out whether it is acidosis or alkalosis, and whether it is respiratory acidosis or metabolic acidosis, metabolic alkalosis or respiratory alkalosis. This will be seen from the ABG. So ABG is to be collected simultaneously with electrolytes, and one has to come to even cause which is responsible for this acid-base imbalance. So simultaneous collection of electrolytes and ABG. Always correction of associated electrolyte imbalance prior to acidosis is important. In case of ABG, we have to see pH, whether the pH is more than 7.4 or less than 7.4. More than 7.4 is alkalosis, less than 7.4 is acidosis. Then if bicarbonate level, normal bicarbonate level is 23 to 30 milliequivalents per liter. If it is fall than the normal, then it is metabolic acidosis. And carbon dioxide, you have to see for the compensation, and normal carbon dioxide PCO2 level is 35 to 45 milliequivalents per liter. From this electrolytes and ABG, we have to calculate the anion gap, that is commonly measured cations, that is sodium plus potassium, minus commonly measured anions, that is chloride plus bicarbonate. Also, we have to find out the range of PCO2 on compensation, that is 1.5 into observed value of bicarbonate in one bracket plus 8 plus or minus 2. And one has to see the sodium level with respect to chloride. The treatment part, always the treatment of the underlying cause is important. For example, if it is severe hypovolemic shock from any cause, replacement of the circulating fluid volume by ideal fluid, in emergency always Ringer lactate is useful. But if the patient is having severe metabolic acidosis less than 7.2, then correction is required, because severe metabolic acidosis can kill the patient. If the pH is less than 7.2, then the correction is by formula 0.6 WD. 0.6 because 60% is water of the body. 60% is water, so 0.6 multiplied by weight in kg into deficit. Deficit is the bicarbonate deficit, and so you have to see 25, average of 23 and 30. 25 minus the observed value will be the deficit. Of that, half is given straight, and remaining, whatever is remaining bicarbonate deficit, of that only half is given slowly over 8 hours. This is because even the respiratory system, as well as in non-renal conditions, kidney is compensating. On top of that, if the soda bicarb is given, then there may be overcorrection causing metabolic alkalosis. And if there is metabolic alkalosis, development of metabolic alkalosis, there will be shift of oxygen dissociation curve to left. This results into more and more less unloading of oxyhemoglobin into oxygen and hemoglobin. So there will be tissue hypoxia. This will result into anaerobic metabolism. So glucose will converted into lactic acid rather than pyruvic acid, and so there is cellular acidosis. Also, there may be hypernatremia. Hypernatremia, that is increased sodium level, will result into increased serum osmolarity. And always by the simple principle of osmosis of the chemistry, this flow of fluid from hypotonic to hypertonic, that is low osmolarity to high osmolarity, across the semi-permeable membrane till the equilibrium is established. So here there will be flow of fluid from the cell to extracellular fluid. That is, there will be cellular dehydration. So overall effect, there may be cellular acidosis, cellular dehydration, causing cellular dysfunction. In case of patient with CKD, the calcium level determination is very important. This is because in case of CKD, because of decreased renal function, the calcitrol, which is active form of vitamin D, which is formed from calcidol, and this calcitrol, which is 125 dioxy vitamin D3, has got main target action on the intestine, where it is responsible for synthesis of the carrier protein which is required for the absorption of the calcium and phosphorus from intestine. Deficiency of calcitrol, deficiency of the calcium absorption, and so the patient with CKD and metabolic acidosis, the patient may have low calcium or lower limit of calcium. However, in metabolic acidosis, because of acidosis, the ionic component of the calcium is comparatively more, and this ionic calcium is metabolically active. It is responsible for maintaining normal neuromuscular activity. But if the metabolic acidosis is corrected first by IV infusion of soda bicarb before correction of the calcium, then the ionic calcium will go down because of correction of acidosis. This results into increased excitability of neuromuscular function, and this hyperexcitability of neuromuscular junction will precipitate tetany, laryngeal stridor, respiratory distress, even convulsion and death of the person. So, before correcting with the IV infusion of soda bicarb, even if severe acidosis, first slow IV calcium gluconate should be given, and many times in patient with metabolic acidosis there may be hyperkalemia. This high level of potassium has got toxic effect on the heart, and so this calcium infusion will correct low calcium as well as prevent the toxic effect of potassium on the calcium. So it is very important that the correction of the associated electrolyte before correction of the metabolic acidosis is crucial. This is because in CKD there may be hypocalcemia, while in certain cases of renal tubular acidosis there is hypokalemia, and so if the acidosis is corrected first, then because of the rise of the pH, the potassium which has come out of the cell may so suddenly go into the cell and will cause life-threatening hypokalemia. And so before one's correct the metabolic acidosis, correction of associated electrolyte imbalance is important, and also finding out the cause which is underlying responsible for this. Thank you very much.